As kids count down to the last day of school, one lawyer turned disability and inclusion leader is flipping the script on summer learning with a powerful new tool that helps families talk about something some parents avoid: disability and medical complexities. Well, after a lifetime of hiding her own visible difference, Lindsey Mazza is stepping forward with Where Hope Lives, a board game and guide created by Safehaven that helps children build empathy, inclusion, and understanding, one conversation at a time. Lindsey, welcome back to The Source here. You are also the host of Hiding in Plain Sight. This board game ties in perfectly with all of your own messaging. So tell me a bit about this partnership with Safehaven and the game Where Hope Lives.
Yeah, so Safehaven is a Toronto-based organization. They work with children, youth, and adults with medical complexities and disabilities. And they've just rolled out this game, Where Hope Lives, which is meant to be a teaching tool to allow parents and teachers to talk about differences with their kids.
Now, we know that July, as we move into July, is Disability Pride Month. So how important is it really, from your perspective, for parents, caregivers, teachers, camp leaders, you name it, this summer, to have those honest, age-appropriate conversations about disability, and not just for families with a child who has a disability, but for every household?
Yeah, I think it's really important because, like I say in many, many interviews, people with disabilities, medical complexities continue to be the demographic of people that are kind of separated from the pack. They continue to be segregated, and within the school system especially, we are not doing a very good job at making sure that it is an inclusive environment. And I think that parents don't talk to their kids about it, quite honestly, because when an issue doesn't directly impact somebody, unless you are actively searching for ways to expand your children's knowledge base, then you're not going to think about it. So I think this is a huge opportunity to expand the conversation and use it as a teachable.
So tell me, how does the game work?
So this game is like a classic board game where you get a piece and you spin to figure out how many spaces you move along the board. And depending on the space that you fall on, you pick up a variety of cards. And the objective of the game is, as you pass visibility spots on the game, you collect pieces. And there's 3 pieces that each player can collect. And the goal is, by the end of the game, you become fully visible.
And what are your thoughts on it? When you first heard about the game, you've played the game, now what?
So I think the really, really cool part is the cards provide teachable moments. So for example, if you hit a roadblock, each card has a message on the roadblock, and it's an ability to teach. It gives you the ability to teach your child. So for example, I've pulled a couple. One of the roadblock cards says, you were unable to participate in arts and crafts at school, something that people don't think about. And that provides an opportunity to, one, shift how these children can participate. And the result is the player who pulls a roadblock misses their next turn. So it's representative of how those children fall behind.
And why don't you give us some examples from your own childhood and growing up in school of where that may have happened to you?
I mean, every day, all day long, I either had to figure out how to participate like my classmates, or I couldn't participate. So were accommodations readily available? No, unless I could articulate as a small child the accommodation that I needed to be made.
Now, you use some examples in a lot of your public speaking, specifically about your accommodation and using the washroom. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so my parents had always set up accommodations, and I was 6 years old, a few weeks into grade 1, and I had a buddy system in place that a friend could come with me to the washroom in the event that I needed help. And one day I asked my teacher, and she said no to me. And I pleaded with her, and I said, but you know, my mom and dad have always told me I can bring a friend, and she still said no, which is an example of the lack of understanding within the school system and the real risk that children with differences are at, because they really have to use their own voice. And even when they use their own voice, they're not necessarily in a safe environment.
So what's the message then that you have through this game and through your own lived experience for anybody who's watching this interview and anyone who wants to educate their children?
I think that everybody has a responsibility to educate themselves first as adults. So if you are not looking at the world and thinking of all of the groups of people you need to be an ally for, then you can't possibly pass that message on to your child. So I kindly ask people to step out of their privileged perspective and learn how they can be better versions of them, because it starts with the adults.
And so in playing the game, what would be another couple examples that you've pulled that help tell the story here?
So the safe space card, and that represents examples of where people with accessibility issues are able to participate like everyone else. So one of the cards here is, for example, you're going to a fully accessible restaurant with your family and you're able to sit with everyone. And that's something that many people take for granted. And I would encourage people next time they go to a public place to note where the accessible parking is. And then as they walk inside, ask yourself, is there an accessible button to even get inside the building? Because 50% of the time, it's probably higher, there isn't one. So we've created accessible parking and then haven't created an environment where people can even get into the building and participate like everyone else.
So for those who are interested, where can we get Where Hope Lives?
So you can go to the Safehaven store.ca and purchase it and use it this summer to teach your kids so that going into September, they can have a new perspective.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us as always, Lindsey.
Thank you.